Today we will discuss about the topic that's name is fundamental unit of life. Unit of life. Before starting of this topic, I would first like to discuss about what is the fundamental unit of life. If I discuss about the development of an organism, if I discuss about development of an organism, we can say that organism can be of two types. First, they can be of unicellular organism and they can be of multicellular organism. If I discuss about unicellular multicellular organism, they all have their life from starting from the cell. That means we have a cell, and cell is basically known as the fundamental unit of life. But how can I say that fundamental unit of life will be cell? If I start the development of multicellular organism and discuss about the multicellular organism, they produce their life from a single cell. This single cell, they start their life from a single cell, and this single cell can be formed by the fusion of male and female gamete. We are drawing N, and here N is a half number of chromosome, half number of chromosome from each of the parent. It means I can say that both of the sexes will donate half number of chromosome to form the new organism. That means I can say that from a starting of an organism, if I am talking about sexual reproduction, from mother part and from father part, they both will contribute evenly and form a single cell, and these single cell will having the chromosome number 2n. And I cannot say that this is the whole about the organism. These cell, after the process of cell division, I'm talking about cell division. After the process of cell division is a simple process to produce the cells. It means cell division is a kind of process by which a cell can produce its same kind of cell. We all know that about the cell division. After that cell division, this cell will form the aggregation of the cells. These aggregation of the cell, which are similar in origin and function. Talking about if the aggregation of the cell is similar in origin and function, we can use the term tissue for that. That means after the process of cell division, which is a simple process to produce the same kind of cell, we got tissue, and after the tissue, the cell division will again happen, and these aggregation of tissue will form organ. These aggregation of tissue will form organ, and after the organ formation, they will form organ system, and finally they will form organism. So I can say that the organism will start their life from a single cell, and from this single cell will be formed by the contribution of male and female body in even ratio. It means half number of chromosome will come from mother side and half number of chromosome will come from father side, and finally they have a single cell. Then these single cell, after the process of cell division, will form aggregation of cell. These aggregation of cell will be similar in origin and function, so they are termed as tissue, and after the tissue formation they will form organ, then organ system, then organism. That's all about the development of the multicellular organism. Multicellular organism. But I can say that multicellular organisms start their life from a single cell, and these single cell, after the process of cell division, they will form the whole body after a sequence that first cell will form, then tissue will form, then organ will form, then organ system, then organism. I can say that for the formation of organism, someone should have a single cell. It means these single cells are termed as the fundamental unit of the life of an organism, because life is starting from these single cell. And similar thing for a unicellular organism, we all know that unicellular organism just having a single cell, these single cell will be work like a body, work like a body. It means I can say that for the starting of life, any organism which is unicellular, multicellular, doesn't matter, but the life will start from a single cell. So I'm calling cell is just like a building block, or I can say that it's a kind of fundamental unit of the life. I'll give some example about the basic fundamental of the cell. If I'm discussing about, suppose someone should want to form a building, someone should want to form a building. For the formation of building, someone should have bricks like that. We have to arrange the bricks in a linear manner. And after the formation of this linear manner, we have to follow the same at the upper surface of the first one. Then after arranging the brick in a linear manner, first we can form a wall. After formation of wall, I can say that this wall, if I'm talking about this wall, what is the basic unit of this wall? I can say that the basic unit of this wall is a single brick. So I can say that in a building, if I'm talking about building and I'm talking about a single wall of a building, I'm talking about single wall of the building, I can say that in this example, if I want to discuss about the unit of the wall, the unit of the wall will be a brick. Just like that, our bodies start their life from a single cell, and after the aggregation of cell, we will get tissue, then organ system, then organism. So I can say that in our manner, the cell will be the fundamental unit of life. After starting the cell, first I would like to give the some history about the cell. First of all, that cell discovery. Cell was discovered by cell was discovered by a scientist named Robert Hooke. Cell was discovered by scientist named Robert Hooke, but how he can observe the cell? We all know that cell is a very minute structure. To watch the cell, we should always have microscope. So Robert Hooke used the microscope to observe the cell, but Robert Hooke observed the cell in a structure named cork. In cork. Cork is the dead part of the plant. He took the section of the cork, and after cutting the section, he got the structure like that. He took the section of the cork and got the structure like honeycomb. Honeycomb. And the unit of honeycomb, he used the term cellular. And for the unit of the honeycomb, he used the word cellular. And these cellular word will later on convert in the word cell. So I can say that cell is the basic unit of life which was discovered by the Robert Hooke. After discovery, we will discuss about the cell theory. Cell theory. Cell theory was proposed by two scientists named Schleiden and Schwann. These two are very famous scientists who proposed the cell theory. According to him, all organisms are made up of cell. Cell does not arise de novo, means spontaneous. It means for the existence of the cell, there should be some cell before starting the new cell. Because I cannot say that the cell will appear dramatically, will appear automatically. For the starting of cell, there should be some living life. The second point of the Stevenson was that all organisms are made up of. After this theory, a scientist named Rudolf Virchow again proposed the cell theory, and I can say that he modified the cell theory. Cell theory was modified by him, was modified by him. And the modification was that all organisms, I can say that all organisms start their life from a single cell, and he gave the important point that cell arise from pre-existing cell. Cell arise from pre-existing cell. Then for the starting of cell theory, yeah, I can say that for the cell, there should be some cell before starting the new one. And we always have an example that without a parent, if I'm saying the example, without a parent, daughter cell will not appear. Daughter cell will not appear. Daughter cell will not appear. So for the starting of cell, someone should have cell before starting the new ones. Next, we'll discuss about the cell size and shape. First, I would like to discuss about the shape. Cell can be of any shape, like it can be oval shape, it can be elongated, it can be discoidal, it can be spherical. We have n numbers of examples for the shape of the cell. Suppose we have an example of nerve cell. Nerve cells are elongated cell. Nerve cells are the elongated cell. We have an example of RBC, which will be biconcave shape. Next we'll discuss about the size of the cell, and we all know that cell is very minute. It means they are too small to visible without naked eyes. We cannot see them without using any microscope. So to observe the cell, someone should have microscope. And if I am discussing about the size of the cell, it can be in micron meter. It means around 10 to the power minus 6 meter. Next, we will discuss about the cell, smallest cell. Smallest cell will be Mycoplasma galliseptum or PPLO. It's the example of smallest cell, and the size will vary from 0.5 to 0.1 millimicron. And why we are calling it PPLO? Its expanded form will be pneumonia like organism. These are the example of smallest cell. And suppose I would like to discuss about the largest cell. Largest cell will be ostrich egg. They have their diameter around 15 centimeters. They have their diameter around 15 centimeters. So we have an example that the ostrich egg will be the largest egg. And if I am discussing about the longest cell, then we have an example of nerve cell or neuron. They can be of around 90 to 100 centimeter. These are the example of smallest, largest and longest. First, we should not be confused in largest and longest, because largest means large and longest means lengthwise. It means if I am talking about the length, according to the length, the nerve cell will be the longest, and according to the size, there will be the ostrich egg, which will be the largest in cell. Next, discuss about the structure of the cell. Structure of the cell. After starting the structure, I'll give some detail about the structure. Cell, everything which have a structure, there should be some limiting membrane. And we can simply say that without the limiting membrane, nothing cannot be limited. It means for a shape there should be some limiting membrane. So to form a cell there should be limiting membrane, and the limiting membrane will be known as cell membrane, or we can say that it's a kind of plasma membrane. Plasma word is basically used for living liquid. This is used for living liquid. Next we'll discuss about the structure of cell. First point that we have limiting membrane. Second point we have the controlling body of the cell, and that will be known as nucleus. This is the controlling body of the cell. Because without the nucleus we can have an example of some of the cell, but most of the cell inside our body we have nucleus inside the cell, but we have an example of the cell which are without the nucleus that we will discuss later on. Third structure which will be discussed about the cell, that will be cytoplasm. It's a liquid which is surrounded by cell membrane. First, to start the structure of the cell, we should have three important things. These three important things can be of: first, cell membrane; second, there will be nucleus; third, there will be cytoplasm. First, I would like to discuss about the limiting membrane, that will be cell membrane. Before starting cell membrane, I would like to give you some detail about the material by which the cell membrane is made up. Cell membrane can be made up of three important things, that will be protein, lipid and carbohydrate. First, we'll discuss about the proteins. Next, we'll discuss about the structure or the model of the cell membrane. Model of the cell membrane. Initially, we have discussed that cell membrane will be made up of three important things. That three important things will be protein, lipid and carbohydrate. We have the example of proteins and carbohydrate, but what about the lipids? Simply lipids, we have to brief introduction about the lipids. That lipids are the, we can say that these are the compound and the product which is formed by the fats. It means they are the fats derivatives. It means they are formed by the fat. That are the fat derivatives, and they are formed by the fat. And the model of plasma membrane was proposed by two important scientists, that was Singer and Nicholson, and the model name was fluid mosaic model. Before starting fluid mosaic model, I would give you some examples of sandwich. We all eat sandwich, and before starting the fluid mosaic model, you should know about the sandwich. And sandwich, we all have two bread piece, just like that, one bread piece and second bread piece. First, we paste the jam, gel, each and everything which we want paste on the two bread slices. After pasting the jam or gel, we first put the both of the bread slices on each other in a superimposed manner. Then we press the both slides. After pressing, some of the sauce will come out at the upper surface and some of the sauce will come out at the lower surface, and some of the sauce will be present in the pores of the bread, and they are basically present between the small pores of the bread. Just like that, in a plasma membrane, if I would like to discuss about the structure of plasma membrane, they have protein membrane, protein matter at the upper surface as well as the lower surface, and they have two molecules lipid structure like that. It means they have two continuous membrane of lipid. The lipid will be phospholipid in presence of phosphorus, and they have protein layer at upper side as well as at lower side, and some of the protein molecule will present in between the molecules of fat. These proteins which are external, like this one and that one, these all are the extrinsic protein because they are present at the last surface. These are also the extrinsic protein. And the protein which are present at between the phospholipid layer, that will be intrinsic protein. So I can imagine that this is just like a sandwich in which these two phospholipid layers work like the bread, and some of the protein are present at the upper surface as well as some of the proteins are present at the lower surface, and some of the proteins are presented in embedded condition between the two phospholipid layers, and some of the molecules of carbohydrate will present in form of glycolipid and glycoproteins. This model can be explained in a short term like that. This model is a kind of PLP model in which external protein, then two layers of lipid, then again protein. So this is known as the PLP model or protein lipid protein model. This is all about the model, and I would first brief the all model. This is a model in which cell membrane is made up of three important things. These will be protein, lipids and carbohydrate, in which protein molecules are sandwiched between the phospholipid layer. Some of the protein present at the upper surface, some of the protein present at the lower surface, and some of the proteins present in embedded condition between two phospholipid molecules. They also have some molecules of carbohydrate in form of glycolipids and glycoproteins. This model will be known as PLP, protein lipid protein model, and this model was proposed by Singer and Nicholson.